This is Adam Gorney from Rivals.com here with Iowa coach Kirk Ferentz. Kirk, signing day again. Looks like you're all alone in the office there getting things ready for another big day. And I just want to start with, the big news of the day, Xavier Wonkba, getting him in this class, what it means to you and how it all kind of came together. Because quite honestly, 6, 8 months ago, it didn't feel like it was trending this way.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Adam. It's a long process, and we knew a long time Xavier's a very special player. Some players you have to look real hard to see some good things, but no, with Xavier, he's one of those guys that jumps out on tape. The other thing I'd note is he's one of those guys too. I was at a game. I only got to see the first half, and I go back and rejoin our team the night before Penn State, and he ended up blocking what would have been the winning field goal. He made the block. So he's just one of those guys that has a knack of being at the right place at the right time. That's what great players tend to do. But in all honesty, 6 months ago, I wasn't sure where we were, or even if we were anywhere with Xavier. The longer it went, the more it became apparent that we might at least be in his thinking. And then certainly last couple of months, I think he kind of squeezed it down where a couple, 3 schools were most prominent. And, fortunately for us, I think he just he felt good about our program. He knows some guys on our team. So even though we had that COVID pandemic dead period, I think he felt pretty comfortable. And then from June on, he's been able to get to know some of the guys in our program and just learn more about the program. I think he's really excited about this decision. I know not as excited as we are. We found out last Monday night. We were out with he and his family, and it kind of came out early in the conversation. So it really made for a good night for us.
Sure. What does that speak to? Just consistently going after a guy, not giving up, not passing on him and saying he's going elsewhere. I mean, what does that say about you and your staff and the way you've kind of handled that throughout these months?
Well, recruiting is a team effort. Jay Neiman is the area recruiter for his high school. Jay did a great job, but everybody gets involved. Certainly, Tara Barnes, our director of recruiting, does a wonderful job staying in contact with the prospects. And then the entire staff, I think, maybe what factors in a little bit for 10 years, 10 years now, they've had Defensive Back of the Year awards in the conference. And we've had 5 players of those 10 awards, 5 Iowa Hawkeyes have been named. I think it speaks to Phil Parker's not only work with our defense, but he's a tremendous secondary coach, the best I've ever seen. So I think Xavier was aware of that too. I think he felt like this is a place he can continue to develop his, the talent that he has. We're really looking forward to it. And, it's just so critical. You want to keep your best players in state, obviously, and keep them at your school. But, it's rarely easy.
Let's move on because there's a lot of other talented players in this class. And I want to start at quarterback, Carson May. Just a big-bodied kid that can really sling it and put up a lot of stats. Is that what you're really looking for? And how did you kind of come upon him and get him locked up?
Who was it?
Carson May, your quarterback.
Yeah. Carson came to camp, and we really prefer quarterbacks come to camp before we offer. It's not always possible, but Carson's a big guy who really we were very impressed with the way he threw the football. Impressed with his ability to learn, just the way he does things. And, it's kind of interesting. He came to camp. We liked him, obviously, or we wouldn't have invited him. Really curious about him. He answered all the questions we had. And I can't tell you, I got to sit here and think about Will Levis coming to camp a couple of years ago. Will came. We offered him. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks later, Penn State offered him. Goodbye, Will. That was the end of it with us. Now, coincidentally, full circle, we're going to play him in the bowl game. He's done a great job for Kentucky. So that is one thing. Yeah, we like to see guys in camp. I think we were Will's first big offer. And unfortunately, a bigger one came along afterwards.
Running backs are always going to be in focus at Iowa as long as you're there. Caleb Johnson, a little bit of a differing group here. Caleb Johnson, a bigger guy. Jazz Patterson, more of a shiftier guy. Is that what you were looking for? Maybe a little bit of a game-breaking ability out of those guys?
Yeah, we always go into it with an open mind at every position. But, they're very different backs, yet we think they're both really good backs. And our roster's not deep at that position right now. Tyler Goodson just left to enter the NFL draft. So, we're really pretty thin. If you go out to practice right now, we don't have a lot of guys out there. So definitely wanted to sign two. And yeah, they're a little bit different type backs, but we think they both have a lot of upside, and just really pleased with both young men.
I wanted to ask about your offensive line group, the two guys. And obviously, offensive line as well as anybody, develop them probably better than any program in the country. Um, Both are just about 270 pounds, though. And that seems like it might be a negative, but actually, as you develop those guys, it could be a positive. The ceiling's higher, all those kinds of things. You look at NFL offensive tackles taken in the first round, that's what they weigh in high school. Is that something that you look for when guys that haven't peaked out yet, or is this just a case that these guys are just a little leaner coming in?
Yeah, we're not against it. If a guy Connor Colby came in here at 300 pounds, we're not against that at all. But that's not the norm. So, and this goes back to my time here in the 80s. It wasn't uncommon for us to recruit guys that were 225, 235, especially if they're multi-sport athletes, and then let them, grow and develop in the program. And as long as the guy's got a good work ethic, good frame, that'll happen. It takes time, but it'll happen. And so it's more of, I think, not a totally uncommon case for us. We're not against that at all. We're not against looking at guys that maybe are a little more athletic, but aren't as big as some of the other prospects, and we'll let them work in the strength program and develop. So we feel good about both those guys, and they're actually 270 is kind of the upside for them. They're both less than that when they're in camp. Again, I go back to the camp part. When we get a chance to see a young guy work in camp and not only gauge their ability level, but also, see what their work ethic is like and their level of toughness, that type of thing, coachability. And both Cale and Jack are guys that we felt like, really are going to fit well with Coach Barnett's coaching, and just excited to have them both join the program.
Last guy I want to ask about is Aaron Graves, just a physical force, on the defensive line. Is that what you saw from him, and how does he develop into being a guy that maybe takes on two blockers here?
It's funny. We offered him. I think he was in sixth grade. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but he was a really young guy. I think ninth grade. And I'm telling you, I'm not real comfortable with that concept. It's just a little scary. And then the other aspect was, I think it took him 10 seconds to commit. And boy, is that nice. Compared to Xavier, he took us right to the end. Not literally the end, but he took us quite a while. Yeah. But that's recruiting too. It's all about the prospect and his pace. There's no book on this stuff, but Aaron did commit early. Kodak moment for me was walking out. We had a camp, an evening camp, back in the summer on a Sunday. And I remember walking out to the field, and, I was looking around. I was like, who's that guy over there? It looked like AJ Epinesa, and it was Aaron, so it was without knowing who was who, just, walking out there fresh. He jumped right out. And then once they started doing some things, he really jumped out. He's a really impressive young guy, and a little bit of a different guy. Last year he was playing basketball and took up wrestling, first year ever, and placed at the state. So, number one, that takes a lot of courage, because a lot of kids in Iowa start wrestling at a very young age. But he's a very humble kid, and he went out and competed at a really high level, and he's doing it again this year. So we're just really excited to have Aaron join the class.
Great. That is Iowa coach Kirk Ferentz with Adam Gorney for Rivals.com.